Paid actor portrayal.
I didn't see it coming. Life can be so unpredictable. After losing my dad, it made me think about my family if something were to happen to me. The mortgage, car payments, and all the other bills. Even things like our annual summer vacation would be out of reach. I had heard about life insurance through Ethos and how easy it was to get coverage. They were right. I knew it was time to stop putting it off and get life insurance right now. I got on my computer and went to ethoslife.com. In just 10 minutes, I was covered. And boom, family protected. Thanks to Ethos, my family won't have to worry about the bills if the unpredictable happens to me.
Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethoslife.com/audio. That's ethoslife.com/audio.
Get the home field advantage every time with Fairfield by Marriott, official hotel partner of the NCAA. Whether you're a student athlete working toward your championship dreams or your team's biggest fan, Fairfield by Marriott has everything you need to get ready for game day. From comfortable guest rooms to complimentary hot breakfast, Fairfield is part of the Marriott Bonvoy portfolio of hotels and official hotel partner of the NCAA. Visit fairfield.marriott.com to book your next game day stay.
Well, shopping for a car?
Yep, Carvana made financing a car as smooth as can be.
Oh, yeah?
I got pre-qualified instantly and had real terms personalized just for me.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
Well, I got to browse thousands of car options on Carvana, all within my budget.
Doesn't get much smoother than that.
It does. I actually wanted a car that seemed out of my range, but I was able to add a cosigner and found my dream car.
It doesn't get much...
Oh, it gets smoother. It's getting delivered tomorrow.
Visit Carvana.com or download the app to get pre-qualified today.
Welcome into The Verge, a show which covers the Baltimore Orioles minor leagues. The Verge is part of BSL Radio. Baltimore Sports and Life is dedicated to analysis and discussion on the Orioles, Baltimore Ravens, and the University of Maryland. The site has a team of writers providing coverage of those teams and houses live streaming content weekly. Join the conversations at the message board, like BSL on Facebook, and follow BSL on Twitter.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since we discovered Spotify for Podcasters, we feel like having options like video podcasts and Q&A lets us be more creative on another level. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Hey patrons, welcome to the latest installment in our Top 50 Prospects Countdown. This is Zach Spedden, and we are now at number 11 on our list, and that belongs to Heston Kjerstad. Kjerstad has been on an interesting journey, to say the least, over the last few years. Chosen as the number 2 overall pick out of Arkansas by the Orioles in the 2020 draft, Kjerstad missed the 2021 season because of a bout of myocarditis, and then was gearing up to start the 2022 season when he suffered a hamstring injury in spring training that sidelined him for the first several weeks. That meant that he did not make his professional debut until June 10th of this year when he arrived in Delmarva. And while you would expect that Kjerstad would fare well against low-A pitching, he flat out dominated in a way that I don't think we necessarily saw coming. In 22 games there, he hit .463 with an OPS of 1.201 while belting 2 homers. And during that time, we saw him really stretched out in terms of his usage. Starting off kind of as a DH, some innings in the outfield, and then eventually by the time he left Delmarva, playing all 9 innings in right field. He then went to Aberdeen, where he was clearly challenged a lot more and struggled for an extended time period. Now, this is where I'm going to kind of split Kjerstad's time with the Ironbirds up a little bit, because if you looked at the baseline numbers, you would think that he struggled there pretty much the whole time. And that's really not entirely true. He really did not hit well in the month of August. It's just a 233 average, a 321 base percentage, a 646 OPS. However, towards the end, he started to pick it up. In a 15-game stretch that included the South Atlantic League playoffs from August 31st to September 21st, Kjerstad batted .293 with an 833 OPS, a home run, and 10 RBIs. That foreshadowed what was a dominant stretch in the Arizona Fall League, where he would win the league's MVP award. During his time with Scottsdale, he hit .357 with an OPS of over 1,000 to go with 5 home runs. Now, the book on Kjerstad, going back to his time at Arkansas, is that he is a big-time power hitter, but there are questions about the swing and miss tendencies. However, what you were hearing out of Arizona was that he was showing very good bat-to-ball skills, doing a good job hitting the ball to all fields. And with that performance, he should be ticketed for Double-A Bowie this year. Now, this is going to be the first chance that we have, hopefully the first chance, that we have to see Kjerstad play a full season since 2019 when he was at Arkansas. And that was a full college baseball season, which is much different than a full professional season. And I think that there's a few things that we know about Heston Kjerstad right now and some things we still don't know. What we do know is that he can showcase very good raw power at times. He's a solid right fielder who runs fairly well for a guy his size. He doesn't really show any red flags to me as far as his defense goes, and I think he profiles nicely as a corner outfielder. What we also want to see, though, is how he's going to fare against Double-A pitching. As you may have read in Eric Longenhagen's report over at Fangraphs, he did not believe that the level of pitching in Arizona was necessarily better than what Kjerstad would have seen in the SEC. But still, it's impressive that he was able to go out there and perform as well as he did. Now, as far as next year goes, I think that you want to see the overall production offensively tick up a little bit. You look at his time at Aberdeen, he had a strikeout percentage of just over 25%, which I think you could normally live with, but when you pair it with just 3 home runs and an 86 WRC plus, it looks like more of a flaw. So you just want to see him become more well-rounded offensively, go there, hit for power, which he should be able to do at Prince George's Stadium, and maintain good walk-to-strikeout numbers. I think strikeouts are always going to be a part of Kjerstad's game to an extent. And I think in today's baseball, you have to live with that. That's just the modern power hitter. But what you want to see is you want to see the walk numbers come up a bit from where they were at Aberdeen. He walked just over 8% of the time. And you want to see the home run power come with that. I do think you are going to see home runs because he's going into the right ballpark for him. But the better pitch recognition and the better strike zone judgment that he was showcasing in his final season at Arkansas, which was ultimately shortened by the pandemic, is going to have to show up again this year and translate to pro ball. If he's able to do that, then I think you're talking about a guy that by mid-season is going to be showing up on top 100 prospects list. He was on pretty much every major list ahead of the 2021 season and has only dropped off because we just have not seen much of him in the last 2 years. So if he can get back on the field and start to kind of answer some unanswered questions and show that he can improve with time, look for him to be on pretty much every major top 100 list by mid-season. And then it becomes a question of how far can he climb in 2023. If he's hitting well at Bowie, I think the Orioles would, put him in Norfolk at some point. Right now, I have a hard time seeing a path to the major leagues for him because the Orioles are pretty much set in the outfield, and it feels like if there is an outfielder who gets that opportunity in the second half of the major leagues, it's going to be Colton Cowser, who has the proximity advantage over Kjerstad and is much more refined as a hitter at this point, even though he has his own developmental questions to answer this year. But there are reasons, I think, to be optimistic about what Kjerstad can do as long as he's able to get back on the field and be healthy for a full season. The fact that he falls outside of our top 10 probably speaks very highly to the depth of this system, and that's what we're going to be covering over our next few reports as we dive into the top 10 of this list. In the meantime, though, thank you for listening to this report on Heston Kjerstad.
That'll do it for this week's episode of On the Verge. Be sure to check out our Patreon page where you can help show your support for the show and get bonus content, including monthly top 50 updates to our prospect list and daily game recaps during the season, and much, much more.